Hi, my name is Zoe Daly and I'm here talking about the sovereignty goddesses, the Celtic sovereignty goddesses of Ireland. And I just wanted to say a little bit about Ériu. So we have a company called Ériu, myself and my partner. This is our logo. So it's actually a picture of the goddess rising like a serpent up. And that jewelry is like the triple solar goddess symbol. So yeah, it's just really relevant because our company we're reclaiming a tradition in Ireland that has been forgotten, which is working with wool, working with our sheep, an industry that has been decimated, where the value has been forgotten and driven down and the farmers are really suffering. So we're reinstating that by remembering the value of our farmers, our animals, and the beautiful natural resource that is wool. So that's what we do. And it just led me to talk about Ériu because Ériu, the incredible thing is, like, our country, Ireland, is called after her. We're called Ireland because of Ériu. Her name, Ériu, in Irish is translated as Éire, and that means Ireland, is the English translation of the Irish. So it's incredible that our country is named after her. She's our patron goddess, but hardly anybody knows that. Like, even when we're out and we're talking about our company at a trade thing, people be like, "Oh, what's the name?" Even if they're Irish, like, they don't even know a lot of people that that she's a very important goddess. Everybody knows about St. Patrick when they think of Ireland, and it's just so funny because, essentially we're taught to, we're fed all these narratives and these stories, and the stories inform and build our belief systems, and we perpetuate those into reality. And that's how things can be spun and distorted and changed. But Ériu was so clever because in our stories, in all our mythology, and why our country is called Ireland, is because Ériu asked and demanded and commanded that the country retain her name, that the land retain her name. During the final battle of these invasions, when her tribe, the Tuatha De Danann, were really fighting for the good of Ireland and to uphold its sacredness, and these invaders came in, the final settlers of Ireland. Instead of fighting them in the end, herself and her sisters, they receded into another dimension, into the hills of Ireland, into the land. And the deal that they made with the invaders was that her name be remembered. So she ceded herself into the land for a time where we would remember her, because they knew these sovereignty goddesses. Ériu is the goddess of sovereignty, fertility, and abundance of the land. And these sovereignty goddesses were doing a specific mission on the land in unity with their divine masculine counterparts in their community. But when they knew that time was changing and that another destiny was unfolding, they seeded their wisdom and their ways into the landscape, into the sacred sites. And the sovereignty goddesses' bodies and the bodies of the earth were one. They were so intrinsically in communion that they went to, when the land was brought to a lower vibration, when these battles took place after the time of their reign. And it wasn't reign as in a dictatorship. It was they were actually came in and upheld the land. They raised it up after cataclysm, and then they upheld it to a certain point, and I believe like encoded it and seeded it until another time, which is now, that we would remember these things. So they were seeded into their dimension, or became known and merged with our other realm, or other kind of fairy, also known as the she realm, ancient realm. They all were like dormant, so they lay their wisdom and knew that it would kind of go dormant until a time would come after them, a dark time, which is like the rest of the history of the world. And now is the time to remember them. So we are remembering her, actually, like in our company in that way, but I really feel like this is for us all to remember, like, because remembering Ériu, her name, which is really has something for all of us. It's remembering this divine feminine Celtic wisdom, which included the divine masculine as like the definition and the embodiment of being in right relationship with the land, with community, with the divine, with each other. And that was all taken away, and that is what's coming back now. So it's like, as we remember, the land remembers, because we all carry the same, you know, especially if you have a link and a connection to Celtic lines, and even if you don't, there's I truly believe there's like an essence in our DNA of the land here in Ireland, in for everybody. So I feel that by a collective remembering of Ériu, and it's so funny that even her people, like in the land of Ireland, we live in a country that bears her name, and we don't know that, or like, you know, as a notable thing. Whereas if you mention St. Patrick, who essentially is revered for driving the snakes out of Ireland, which is really another way of saying killing off the divine feminine wisdom of the land. That's who we you know, are associated with, which is amazing. It's funny, really. But now is the time to remember Ériu, and as we remember her, her wisdom comes online. The land is remembering her, and we reawaken her spirit within ourselves, and within our land, and our ley lines, and our sacred sites, as all part of this huge global awakening, is remembering this divine feminine wisdom that she carried, that she embodied with her sisters being her sisterhood and her brotherhood, of, yes, sovereignty, of fertility and abundance, of being in harmony with creation and in harmony with each other, in a unity consciousness, really. So it's an exciting time to remember Ériu, and I just wanted to speak a little bit about what her name actually meant. So thank you for listening.